On today's show, the LA Clippers end their road trip with a valiant effort against the Oklahoma City Thunder. How were we able to actually take a 16-point lead and then let it all come crashing down? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, and in my 20th season as a Clipper fan, been covering the Clippers for 5 years on my own personal YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, and 3 years now on this channel, Locked On Clippers. Make sure you subscribe to both YouTube channels, and you can listen to Locked On Clippers wherever you get your podcasts. And Locked On Clippers also has a newsletter that I write on a daily basis. Just go to lockedondaily.com to sign up for it. It would really be appreciated. That's lockedondaily.com. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Head on over to fanduel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. All right, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the turnover fest that ended up being the decider in this game after we took a lead, why KPJ and Bamba clapped right back and said, "You don't know ball" to me, and then the 3-point regression of a couple of players on our team that I thought was worth mentioning. So, to start the game, an absolute valiant effort by our boys. No James Harden, who was out with the groin injury. I talked about that when I did the episode yesterday. And I just hope that the groin injury doesn't lead to anything more significant, nothing more serious, because the groin is tricky. I always reference that about a year ago I had a groin injury and it was just there for months, for literally months. So, you got to be a little careful with that. But also it could just be, something that's a little naggy, but when he's in the games themselves, James Harden, he doesn't feel it too much. Because James Harden, he doesn't like missing games. Right, so we'll see. If he doesn't play on Saturday against Atlanta, then I'll be a little concerned. If he doesn't, if he does play against Atlanta, then I believe this was more load management from the team or him. Most likely the team, because he's not one that has a reputation of missing games. He usually loves getting on the court and playing. So, I think this was probably on the team to want to limit him given the load he's carried. However, it was reported after the game that if it's a Zubats didn't feel too great after the game, why not sit him as well? If we're talking about a scheduled loss, a team that's won 12 games in a row, not counting that in-season tournament final, why don't we just sit out Zoo and Harden? But I guess we probably thought we still might have a chance with Zoo, whereas if we don't have him, we've got no chance. So, I don't know. Zoo, I think he's trending into being more indispensable for this team than Harden, just because we don't have as good of a backup. I think Kevin Porter Jr. and even Bones Highland, if you need a guy to supply offense, they'll never be able to do it nearly as well as James Harden, but I still think they'll be able to create a little bit, and you still have Norman Powell to score the basketball, although in this game he was just really rough. But Zoo, we don't have a replacement for him that's adequate to get a lot of minutes. Mo Bamba can get spot minutes, but we've seen Ty Lue trust Kevin Porter Jr. with 20-plus minutes here and there. So that's my takeaway there. I hope James Harden's okay. I think he'll play against the Hawks because Lauren Rosen in the middle of the broadcast said that this is more precautionary. So that's another fancy word of saying it's load management from the organization. Now, I hope I'm right. I've been wrong about these things in the past, but I think he was okay. And in the past, I would complain about why are we, taking a game for granted, but we're not a team that's expected to win almost every game now because we have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We've already overachieved. This is a perfect opportunity to rest. I just think maybe we should have rested Zubats as well. Now, as far as the game itself, SGA started out on Kris Dunn, Isaiah Hartenstein on Ivica Zubats, Lou Dort on Norman Powell, and man, did they make an effort to try to limit Norm all game. J-Dub on Derrick Jones Jr. and Aaron Wiggins on Amir Coffey. Then on our side, we had Kris Dunn on SGA, Zubats on Hartenstein, Derrick Jones Jr. on J-Dub, switching 1 through 4, and then they were doing the same. Although, I thought it was interesting that both teams were throwing different sorts of coverages at SGA and Norman Powell. At times, they would hedge on the screens to try to take away their pull-up, and then there were other times where they were dropping with them. But on Kevin Porter Jr., Isaiah Hartenstein, and the bigs were dropping every time because they're okay with Kevin Porter Jr. getting into that in-between. Norman Powell, they're really afraid of him, coming off screens for free looks. They really tried to limit every single free look that Norman Powell could get in this game, and they did an exceptional job doing that, Oklahoma City. And then with SGA, because in the regular season, you often see teams will throw one coverage at you. You know what I mean? They'll throw a drop throughout the game on this guy, and that'll be their decision for that game. But in the playoffs, you'll see sometimes, mixed up coverages in the same game and stuff like that. And in this game, that's what you were seeing if you're Norman Powell and SGA. And, of course, SGA, we're talking about a guy that's, I think by season's end, if you didn't think last season he was, by this season's end, he will be definitely considered a top 5 player in the NBA. Which, dagger in the heart right there. But it is what it is. We were also doubling SGA early in the game in isolation. And I said one of my keys to the game was let's test out how good our one-on-one defense is and make SGA play one-on-one. And we did not really do that. We kind of tried the let's let other guys beat us approach, and, it didn't end up working out too well. Now, I haven't actually looked at the stats, but remember, there was a quarter of this game that was complete garbage time. So the stats, they might have been skewed just a tad by that fourth quarter, but they shot 37% from 3. Lou Dort hit 3 threes. J-Dub only hit 1, and Aaron Wiggins only hit 1, but you had Kenrick Williams hit 2, Isaiah Joe hit 3, so Cason Wallace hit 1, AJ Mitchell hit 1, so there were other guys that hit threes, but when you look at this game and you look at the box score, we were up by 16 points at one point. I believe it was 40-24. We were knocking down our open shots. We were doing a great job of moving the ball, because without James Harden, you're not going to have that same shot creation. So you're going to have to move the ball and work harder for good shots. And everybody's got to be more aggressive. And we started doing well with that. Kris Dunn had 5 quick points at the beginning of the game. The role players were attacking the rim off the catch, and we were getting creative with our play calling. You're really seeing our coaching staff dip into the bag because, without James Harden high pick and roll, you got to try to implement a little bit more movement, a little bit more motion to get some guys on the move, because you get Kris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr., and Norman Powell on the move, you can get some good stuff. We went on a 12-2 run to end the first quarter, and I thought we did a good job moving the ball fast. Ended the first quarter up 30-22. And in the second quarter, I'm going to mention him a little bit more in the next segment, actually a lot more in the next segment, but Kevin Porter Jr. and Mo Bamba, those two guys gave us a great spark. And yeah, as I said, we were up 40-24. OKC was playing sloppy. We were starting to see our defense, our one-on-one defense, our help defense, the defense that we've made a trademark for our team this season in full effect, making life a little tough for SGA. And Amir Coffey was knocking down threes. So even with Norman Powell 0 for 5 from the field, I think at halftime he was 0 for 6 from the field. He was 0 for 5. We were up 52-48 at the half. But I'll tell you what, the end of the second quarter was not a good precedent for the second half from our perspective. We were getting a little careless with the ball, and a couple of those were on some bad entry passes when OKC went small to try to spread the floor to counter Zubats' size advantage. So what they did was they went with, I forget who at the 5, but they had like Aaron Wiggins, SGA, Lou Dort, J-Dub, like a combination of smaller guys. Kenrick Williams out there as well, because sometimes they like to play Kenrick Williams at that small ball 5. and we tried to throw the ball into the post to Zoo, and the entry passes weren't great. I remember Amir Coffey had one, bad one. And then Isaiah Joe, he hit a 3 in transition where Zubats, I think, didn't realize, like, oh, wait, there's no big on the floor. I can't run to the rim. I got to come out and contest this 3. So we were going into the fourth quarter, the second half, up by 4. And then when you look at the box score and the quarter-by-quarter breakdown, you see everything falls on this third quarter. 20-42, OKC outscored us and effectively ended the game. There's no need to even talk about the fourth quarter. So many players didn't even touch the floor in that one. And it started with our turnovers. The games that we've played against OKC, we've had a lot of turnovers. And they forced the most turnovers in the league. They're the best defensive team in the NBA by a significant amount. And you can see why. Their ball pressure. They have a rim protector in Isaiah Hartenstein, and they're going to have 2 when Chet Holmgren comes back. But they have scrappy point of attack guys. It begins with Lou Dort, but SGA, great hands. He was getting several steals in that third quarter. And what it really is to me is the lack of ball handling without James Harden. We already talked about that this team lacks ball handling with James Harden, but without James Harden, I think compounded by the fact that Norman Powell could not make a shot. I mean, he was literally in this game 1 for 11, 6 points, and 6 turnovers on 1 for 11 shooting and 0 for 5 from 3. Probably his worst game of the season. So when you have that, and then Ivica Zubats, just 11 points, 9 boards on 5 for 9 shooting, and you turn the ball over 19 times. In the third quarter, we turned the ball over 6 times, and they dominated us. 29 points off of turnovers in the third quarter alone. They went on a 27-7 run in that third quarter. And SGA, he was dominant. So it really comes down to, without James Harden, we don't have enough ball handling. That's what it comes down to. But OKC's just a better team. And we don't have Kawhi right now, so they're definitely a better team. We don't have Kawhi or James Harden. They're definitely a better team. And I know they don't have Chet and they don't have Caruso, but they're stacked. They're stacked. And they have fantastic defense. And it's even better than ours based on the numbers. And I guess the eye test, too. But coming up, going to talk about some of the positives. KPJ and Mo Bamba sounds like they listen. That sounds like, or looks like they listen to the pod. Just joking, but seriously, they were like, "Yo, slow down, buddy." I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And right now on FanDuel, we've got the Baltimore Ravens minus 19.5 on Saturday against the Cleveland Browns. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers are playing a good one. That'll be minus 2.5 for the Bengals at Heinz Field. And then the rest of the games are on Sunday. And where can you go to bet on all these? FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so the Clippers losing this one by a final score of 116-98. We dropped to 19-15 on the season, 8-9 away from home, 0-2 without James Harden. So far, as I've said to a lot of people, James Harden to me is still the MVP of this team, not Norman Powell. And you can see that Norman Powell really struggles without James Harden. You know, the 2 games that Norman Powell has played without James Harden, he has not shot well. He was 1 for 11 in this game with 6 points. And then the other game without James Harden, he was 5 for 18 and 1 for 8 from 3. So, yeah, safe to say he's not shooting very well without James, and that's definitely a testament to how much easier the game is made for Norm with James. But I also think that it was just a matter of a rough shooting game. You know, it's also not coincidental that you're playing against Houston and OKC, 2 of the best defensive teams in the league, when he's having those shooting games. So, you know, defense matters, not having Harden matters, and then also just a rough night at the office matters. And that can happen as well. But you know who didn't have a rough night at the office? Kevin Porter Jr. and Mo Bamba. And this is coming off an episode where I said they shouldn't even be in the rotation. Now, here's the thing. One game is not going to sway my opinion. I have to hold down my fort on my stance. I personally don't think that they should be in the rotation, and we should use Kai Jones and Bones Highland instead. And it's not like we won the game, but they did play well. Kevin Porter Jr. was being so much more decisive with his moves. He wasn't dilly-dallying and taking those extra dribbles for no reason. He was getting downhill. He was making plays. And that was evident. And I wasn't the only one that saw it. It wasn't just a matter of, well, his shots are falling today. The process was different. You know, right when he came in the game, 2 straight assists and a bucket on dribble penetration. And this is straight from Jim Jackson. I quoted him. He says, there's something you see different with Kevin Porter's focus. He's assertive. He's determined. He's either going to make the play with the pass or find where the slots are in the defense, and he's attacking. So there you go. You know, a lot of guys, young hoopers, or even hoopers at any age, the extra dribbles, if you don't know what you're doing, are hurting your team's rhythm and yourself. Although coaches these days don't seem to penalize people on over dribbling the same way as they did in the past. But basketball, it's a rhythm game, and the ball has energy to me. You know, all the teams that have emphasized ball movement, that have won championships, have guys that say a different version of what I just said. And it's real. I can feel it when I play. I can feel it when I coach. I can feel it when I watch. You know, stagnant is never good, no matter how good your isolation players are, whether they're LeBron, Luka, James Harden, CP3. I still don't agree with that. But when you're decisive, when you're not wasting as many dribbles, that allows the defense to, or makes the defense have to move a little bit. Whereas when you're just, you know, dribbling in place or just trying to play a lot of one-on-one, a lot of times the other guys that are guarding everyone else can just stay put. But KPJ in this game, I thought he was really solid. He tied his season high for points in a half with 10 in the first half. But in the second half, I mean, it didn't really go very well for anybody, let alone Kevin Porter Jr. And Kevin Porter Jr. was a plus 10 in the first half. But yeah, second half, he was 0 for 4 with 1 point. So sadly, it didn't last the entire game. But I just thought overall he had a better game, and I need to acknowledge that. It's just he's so inconsistent. That's my main thing with him, is he's so inconsistent. And there's absolutely no guarantee that Bones Highland would be any better. But my thing is this. Let's try Bones. If he's worse than KPJ, we go right back to KPJ. KPJ in this game actually ended up shooting 3 for 11 and 0 for 3 from deep, 5 for 7 from the foul line, had 11 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, 1 block, 1 turnover in 24 minutes. And then Mo Bamba. Brian Seaman was saying that he thought that this was his best game as a Clipper. I don't know, but it's up there. He was knocking down his 3-ball, so not looking like a Fugazi pick-and-pop big man. And he was just finishing strong and rebounding. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 2 turnovers on 5 for 6 shooting, 2 for 3 from deep in 16 minutes. We went 9 deep off the bench. Nico, Jordan, actually really 8 deep. Nico, Jordan, KPJ, and then then Kobe, Brown, Bones Highland, and Kai Jones in garbage time. And Bones Highland, Kai Jones were plus 10 in the game. But again, garbage time. Jordan Miller, his 3-ball, it still needs some work. He had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. But a decent chunk of those were in the fourth quarter when SGA didn't play 1 minute. So in the fourth quarter, yeah, Jordan Miller had 5 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists, and 2 steals. So he played the entire quarter, and he was the only guy that could say that. So I don't think he was that great. He was just missing open threes for the most part. He was 4 for 8 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, 1 for 2 from the foul line with 10 points, 4 boards, 5 assists, and 3 steals in 23 minutes in the game. I thought our bench was pretty good because KPJ and Mo Bamba gave us that lift. But Mo Bamba, in his case, I still am not sold on his ability. He's also, like KPJ, inconsistent as can be. So, you know, a game in which we lose by 18 and he makes a couple pick-and-pop threes doesn't really move me. His percentage, though, took a big increase from 20% to 24% because he's not on very high volume so far this season. But 24% and 43.5% for a big man, still not moving me, but hopefully he can have some good games and rack them up, and his efficiency will change. But I'm still Team Kai Jones, and I'm still standing by my stance, but I wanted to give them credit because they were some of the only positives in the game. Coming up, though, going to be talking about two very good Clipper players that have seen some three-point regression. How big of a part of our struggles the last two games is that? And an update on Kawhi Leonard. Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Game Time. Game Time is the best place to place great deals, the best place to place great deals on tickets last minute for the start of any kind of event. For me, sporting events are my thing. That's what I save up most of my money to go to. And one of my favorite memories of the year was the NLCS Game 1 for your world champion Los Angeles Dodgers, if you're a Dodger fan. And where did I find tickets for that last minute? Game Time. And now Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right. Clippers losing this one 116-98. We shot 47% from the field in the end. They shot 50. They shot 37% from three. We shot 34. So they shot 3% better than us in field goal percentage and three-point percentage. And as far as free throws, we shot 17. They shot 20. Almost half of them were from SGA. They shot 80%. We shot 65. So again, our free throws. And then Zubac's yet again, 1 for 3 from the foul line. I mean, that's been really disappointing. He's got to get it up. 51% so far this season. That's putrid for a player of his caliber that's shot so much better over the years. But yeah, so I spoke about Kevin Porter Jr. finishing 3 for 11. I spoke about Mo Bamba having 12 and 8 in 16 minutes. Nico, a donut, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 shot. And do I even need to say it? Of course, it was a 3. But yeah, that's basically it for the bench, guys. I talked about Jordan Miller, too. There was no big 3 in this one. Amir Coffey started in place of James Harden, and he actually played the best. He was on fire. 26 points for Amir, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. He did turn the ball over 4 times. I mean, he's never been a great ball handler and just got stripped a couple of times. There was one time where he didn't see Isaiah Hartenstein coming behind him, and Isaiah just ripped him. Sucks that. That's another. Who should I be more sad about? SGA leaving or Hartenstein? Because one of them was a lot more easily attainable to keep, at least for another year. He probably would have had to get paid eventually because everybody would have seen like, oh, he's actually really, 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 really good. But we legitimately had the most solid center rotation in the league in 2022 with Hartenstein. And it's sad that we never got to see Hartenstein in a playoff game for the Clippers. Like, his season was so well remembered, but we lost in the play-in because Adam Silver wanted to, change the regular season up with the play-in. But whatever, we probably would have lost to Phoenix again, and I would have not wanted that. But let's see, am I forgetting anybody? I mean, yeah, Amir Coffey, 26 points on 10 for 14 shooting, 6 for 8 from 3. Amazing. Now, here are the two guys I wanted to talk about. Derrick Jones Jr. and Kris Dunn. My guy Zubat Season on Twitter, he had a tweet that I told him I would use on the show because I thought it would be pretty useful. Because there have been some people in the comment section that have called this out. Derrick Jones Jr. Here's his 3-point percentage by month this season. October, 50%. Of course, much smaller sample size in October. November, 39%, which is excellent. And then this past month of December, 28%. Now, of course, Derrick missed a couple of games there, but pretty sure it was only 2 games he missed. Yeah, he's only missed 2 games. So he's gone cold a little bit. Maybe a little regression to the mean. Maybe a little regression to what he really is as a three-point shooter. Now his percentage is down to 37%. Which, again, 37% for Derrick, that's still a career high. He has never shot this well from 3. He's never even shot 35%. So if he can shoot 36% or more for the season, I will absolutely take that. Now, he was shooting 41% like 2 weeks ago. I don't think that was ever sustainable. But I think the goal should be for him 36% or higher. If he shoots a career high from 3 this year, that's a win because of all the other great things he does for us. But it's just something to monitor because he has taken a little bit of a nosedive there. And actually, Zubac's season, yeah, he was right. It was 28%. You got to round up. I thought for a second he put 29%, but it was the exact number is 27.6. Now, another guy that has experienced a similar sort of regression is Kris Dunn, who shot 55% from 3 in the month of October. Again, small sample size. That was wild, though, to start the season like that for him. But 54.5% in October. That was only 5 games. Then in November, 31%. Then December, 31%. So he's starting to be, again, regressing to the mean of what he actually is as a three-point shooter. Right now, Kris Dunn is shooting 34% from 3, which honestly is pretty accurate. And I don't think he's going to be an over 35% guy this season. Last season, he shot 37%, but he's on higher volume this year. He's averaging 3 3-point attempts a game. He's also playing 5 more minutes a game and on a relevant team. And he's going to get a lot more open threes with James Harden playing alongside him. So it's natural that he's going to get more 3-point attempts. I think he'll probably be around 33, 34% by the end of the year. That's being hopeful because, the last couple of months he's shot worse than that. So that's just something to watch. Now, as far as Kawhi, my good friend and frequent guest, Adam Osland, our radio guy, had Law Murray, our other frequent guest and beat writer on Clippers Talk, and he asked him about Kawhi, what's going on for tomorrow, is he going to play? And Law basically said there's no update from that projection, and that's not the Clippers saying it, that was Kawhi's projection. Look, man, if he doesn't play on Saturday, I'm going to be a little annoyed, but also I'm not tripping if he comes back during the week. I was just like, that just means his first game at Intuit Dome, I will not be there because I can't go next week because I have coaching 2 games. He needs to play tomorrow, even if it's for 10 minutes because I'm going and I need that content, man. It's just funny, though, with Kawhi. Like, you just never know till the 11th hour with him. But anyway, tough loss. SGA had, 30 points? Like, he just drops 30 in his sleep nowadays. It's so annoying. 29. Didn't even play the whole fourth. 29 points on 9 for 17 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, and 9 for 9 from the foul line. The Thunder had 4 guys in double figures. A.J. Mitchell, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Jalen Williams. We had 5 guys in double figures. Zoo, Brewmaster, Mo, Jordan, and KPJ. But that's it. It's not a big deal. 19-15. We went 1-2 on the road. Now we go back to play Atlanta. Let's see if we can get a win against them. They're going to be on a second night of a back-to-back because they're playing the Lakers on Friday night. So we should win. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more Clipper content. Probably going to be live to talk about this game and some more. And you can ask me questions later on Friday. Probably Friday night. Probably. And then Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. If you can't listen, make sure you watch on YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you know every single time I post a video. And subscribe so we can get up to 7,000 subscribers. We have a goal for this month. Let's get up to 7K before the end of the month. We want to catch up to these other teams. The Age. And remember to sign up for the newsletter, LockedOnDaily.com. I write it every day. It would be very appreciated. LockedOnDaily.com for the free Locked On Clippers newsletter. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.